Hey, this is Betsy.
And this is Gina, and this is the Lost and Found podcast.
Our podcast is really a labor of love, and it came about a couple years ago when we recognized that we have some incredibly interesting, passionate entrepreneurs. We're making this for you guys. If you're listening, we've made this for you because it's created for our alumni community. These are small business owners and entrepreneurs. We're in the trenches together, but the stories that we can share, I think, will help you feel less alone, get you inspired, maybe even inspire you to connect with these people.
Real stories from real entrepreneurs in small communities. Welcome back to the Marketing Unacademy's Lost and Found podcast. In this episode, we have a very special guest, one that I've personally known for quite a while, which I'm sure we'll get into, but one who is making waves and creating change in our small town and our community here. She is dedicated to her craft. She is growing it. She is always looking for the next adventure, but she doesn't move forward without thinking it through, which is pretty impressive at her young age. So today I have somebody who believes in making the ordinary extraordinary. And it is MacKenzie Dohmann, owner of the Pink Apron Bakery in Spicer, Minnesota.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks so much for having me on. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I'm just excited to chat today about business and life and whatever else comes through the mic.
Yeah, wherever we go with this, right?
It'll be wild. I'll warn you that.
Well, I am so thankful for having you here because you've been on, you've had a crazy journey.
Yeah.
I mean, all the way along, you are a go-getter. You have tons of energy. You are spirited. You know what you're looking for. You know what you want, and you go out and you get it. And I love that. I love it about you. And you can see it's happening for you. It
is.
You've got a lot of big things going on right now.
Yeah.
Man, I see Pink Apron everywhere.
Yeah, it's hard to really put it into words and even perspective just to think of what's amassed over the past 3 years. I mean, I just turned 30 this year, so.
Well, thank you. That was going to be one of my first questions.
Yeah.
Let's just put it on the table. How old are
Surprise,
you?
I'm 30. So I started this when I was 27, and it was one of those things where I always felt like I was behind in the world with business, and you'd see all these other people online, and they have huge companies, huge successes. They're making millions, and they might be younger than me. I'm like, where did I go wrong? What am I doing wrong?
So wait, now were you feeling this before you had established your business?
Oh,
so
yeah.
You've always wanted to be a small business owner? You've always wanted to be an entrepreneur?
Well, I always felt like I was supposed to work for myself. I was told myself that with any job that I held. Just the feeling of wanting to be my own boss was always prominent. It was always there. So wanting to pursue something, not really knowing what it would lead to in the future, but just always having that feeling that I was called to a greater purpose of having my own passion and own job. And so even in college, I felt, I see all these people, and it's like they aren't even in college. They started their own companies at 20 or 25, and I just felt like I was behind the wheel, and, things weren't turning and things weren't working out, and I was working retail and personal training and so many different careers, and I just kind of felt lost. And then it just I took a different direction, just decided to take a chance, work at a different job, and it ended up leading me into my career, which is baking now.
Funny how those things happen, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, and like you said, you're a young entrepreneur. And in some of our workshops, we go through, Betsy has this storytelling scale of the up and the down and the up and the down. And when you're on that down, it's really hard to recognize that there's going to be an up. It's not going to keep going down. There's going to be an up.
Yeah.
But it's so cool that you're down. How did it go from, being at this spot to changing jobs and led you to where you were? What was the job change, or what was the shift?
Well, the turning point was pursuing a degree in business and entrepreneurship in college. That's kind of what set the course for ultimately leading to me wanting to create my own job or business. So that kind of set the course. Cool. And then transitionally through working jobs that they gave you a paycheck, basically. But it wasn't really fulfilling because you were doing someone else's job for them. So ultimately transitioning into an industry which I enjoyed being in, which was in the kitchen or cooking, anything with food. So I actually applied to Costco in St. Cloud in the bakery, and
Oh, nice.
that kind of is what set me on the course of just staying in that industry specifically, because it brought me a lot of passion and it came easy to me, and it was very satisfying to go to work and being able to do and work with things that I enjoyed eating and making and creating. So again, it was still working for someone else, so it wasn't as satisfying as it could be for myself, but I'd still put myself in a position where I know I could go to work and enjoy what I was doing because it was in that industry and in that line that I enjoyed already outside of a career.
That's very insightful.
Yeah, it is. It really, the more you think about it as a business owner, you think of the steps that it took to get to where you are today, things do kind of sink in. You think, oh, that was really a good decision, or I did that because I wanted to do that. And I think people have a really hard time putting themselves first and putting their wants and needs first instead of putting someone else's first. It's really important to fulfill your own goals prior to someone else's, because you're going to get a lot more satisfaction out of it.
Oh, that's excellent advice.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're in school, where was school in St. Cloud?
Yep, SCSU at Herberger Business School.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so before you get into the St. Cloud, before you get into the entrepreneur and the business classes, before you get into the bakery position with Costco, you're at home. Mm-hmm. And this is where your love of baking first was born.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's hear about that.
Baking and cooking, just in general. I mean, my mom was a homemaker. She retired before she was 40. I mean, she had both my brother and I at home, and so she would have us in the kitchen helping make dinner. We'd make cookies. She'd have cookies basically ready like anytime we get home from school. There'd be something, special K-bars, whatever. But it was that magic of making something and creating that connection and bonding with your parent. I'm very thankful for the relationship that I do have with my mother. She's my best friend. I owe her a lot because she set me up to be the person that I am today. I'm very, very thankful for that. And so realizing that that's where everything rooted from, just growing up in that environment, being very hands-on and learning a lot and building that character, I think that plays a lot into who I am today and where that came from. So basically taking those past experiences in my childhood and bringing those full circle into what I do now.
Yeah, and that's
very
beautiful.
nostalgic.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So from your childhood, you're baking in Costco. Did you have a favorite thing to bake when you were working there?
It was a lot. I mean, I had basically held 3 positions in the one department. So I was a busy human being. So if you ever ate muffins, I made them when they first opened. So I was the muffin lady. The croissants were always fun. Granted, we didn't make them in-house, we just baked them. So a lot of the product did come in par-baked or frozen and shipped in.
Sure.
Which that's wholesale. But that was probably fun. I think just delving into different things that I'd never made before gave me a lot of comfort moving forward, because I was, as stupid as it sounds, I was afraid of yeast when I started baking. I didn't want to touch it. Like, cinnamon rolls were intimidating. It sounds so stupid. But it's really one of those things where it's its own organism and a lot of things can go wrong. You can overproof, you can underproof. So gradually working into more yeast-based breads, pastries, Costco kind of built the foundation for me to get comfortable with different bakes at a larger scale. So it was kind of a fun experience. I'd say croissants are probably my favorite.
Really?
And now I make them. So.
I was just going to say, all right. And then you started baking. So you're afraid of yeast.
Yeah.
You're getting more comfortable. And then how do you get into one of the most difficult breads to make?
I kind of do that to myself. Honestly, it's how my life goes. I really just throw myself into probably the most difficult scenario and can she sink or swim? Let's find out. It's the best way to learn, really.
Sounds like a great card game, by the way.
Oh, totally.
We could have all sink or swim scenarios for MacKenzie.
We should make it happen.
Who's going to throw it? What are we going to throw at her next?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We should work on that. But yeah, because experience at Costco, I was in between jobs. We had just bought a house back in Spicer, and in between jobs, because I had quit Costco because my commute was an hour each direction. It was just insane. So I just started dabbling, like, why not just make bread? Sounds like fun. Never tried it before. Let's see how it goes. And it was good. It turned out. It baked. It was alive. And then I decided to start sourdough. And I was purchasing my bread from Aldi. I had their sourdough. Very good. But I was like, yeah, let's see if I can make it by myself. Because why not? Let's try. And trial and error. A lot of trial and error. I killed my first starter. Again, I always say it's a rite of passage. I feel like for any baker, really, you have to go down those lows. There's another example of one of those downs where you have to find an up. Mm-hmm. And so I killed the first one, started a second one, and that was a success. I still have him today. His name is Theodore. He's a little over 3 years old, so he's been with me through it all. And
now when you say kill, tell us a little bit about keeping a sourdough starter.
So it's an actual living thing. It's a living organism and a culture. It's like I always say, it's like kombucha, essentially. You have to feed it. It's kind of like having a child in a 5-gallon bucket. Sounds horrible. But so a lot can go wrong when developing a sourdough starter because the bacteria is trying to find a balance between over-fermenting and under-fermenting.
Okay. And
you have to have temperature controls, light controls. There's a lot that can go wrong, and then feeding regularities and developing that culture and helping that bacteria feed properly so it can grow and multiply and then rise and fall in order to create CO2, which is essentially what sourdough is made out of, is gas bubbles. So you can kill one if you do it wrong. And
so once you get one really going, is it harder to kill one? Or do you still have to pay a lot of attention to it?
You still kind of have to mind it here and there. There are things that can go wrong. Overfeeding is a thing, so you can give it too much flour and water if it hasn't already eaten through what it has been fed in the past. So that can affect a starter. Again, temperature, time of the year, humidity has a lot of effect on this organism. I personally have developed a way to maintain my starter without constantly feeding it, which I keep mine in the fridge. That way I can pull from it whenever I need and then feed it whenever I need to feed it.
Okay.
So I've kind of, after 3 years, kind of figured out a nice ebb and flow for him so we can maintain a good amount of starter on a weekly basis, because we go through about anywhere between 10,000 to 20,000 grams of starter in a week. So that's roughly 2 to 3 gallon buckets. 5-gallon buckets of starter.
2 to 3 5-gallon buckets in a week.
In a week. Yep.
For sourdough.
For starter, yep. That's just feeding. That's just the feedings. That doesn't include all the flour that I use for bread.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's an immense operation. And when you scale it, I actually have a paint mixer attached to a Milwaukee drill that I use to mix my starter. Because when you have a 5-gallon bucket that's this full of starter, you don't want to do that by hand.
No, right.
I did. It was fun while it lasted, but then it was like,
I could do better.
It's exhausting.
I could do better.
It's exhausting. And then you have this whole armful of schlep that you just, it's crusty and you can't get
rid
off.
of it, and then it's, oh, man.
Yeah, it gets messy.
Okay, well, now, so Theodore survives.
Yes.
You're making sourdough.
Yes.
And it's working for you.
Well, it didn't at first. My first 3 were like a total flop. They came out like Frisbees.
Okay.
But that was because I'm a highly impatient human being and I didn't wait long enough for him to mature. So there is that maturity scale that you have to wait until the starter's fully developed in order to use for baking. But after that, I had a successful loaf. I used an overnight method recipe and it baked out perfectly. And I was like, okay, well, let's see. Started posting online just pictures because Instagram and Facebook, you share with your friends. And I had people inboxing, asking, hey, are you selling your bread? And I really didn't even think of it at the time. I didn't know people did that. But I was just giving it to my mom and my uncle and family members. And then I just decided, like, maybe we should try to sell some. We'll see how it goes. I don't really know what I'm doing. At that point, I was working at the local bakery. And I was the donut lady, so I'd get up at like 3 or 4 in the morning and go fry donuts. Those are prime baking hours, so the schedules conflicted, and after a couple months, I finally nailed down a Saturday to try a farmer's market, and I think I baked like 12 loaves, and it took me until like 4 in the morning to bake them.
Okay, yeah.
And I was crying.
Oh, your oven at home?
Yes.
Okay.
I could do like 2 or 3 at a time in these Dutch ovens. And they were baking as I was like crying over my poster board on our dining room table, like putting together this like Hobby Lobby special sign that had like stick-on letters.
Well, yeah.
I felt like I was reverted back to like 5th grade when you have the poster board assignments and you use the fancy scissors to cut out the...
This is not what I signed up for.
Like, what the hell am I doing with my life? 27. Why am I making poster board signs and baking bread at 4 in the morning when I have a market in like 4 hours? Like, what? I don't even know what I'm doing. Anyways,
But you did. You showed up with 12 loaves of bread.
Yes, and brownies and cookies, and needless to say, the bread went first. But that was a tell for me. I was like, okay, there's a market for this. That's immediately where my brain went, was it's some people like this. So let's keep trying. And eventually, I think it was September of 2021 where I was just like, I'm going to quit my job because I want to bake. I want to bake for myself. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was scooping cookie dough on the back counter at 5 a.m. I'm like, I'm so sick of this. I don't want to scoop someone else's cookie dough. I want to scoop my own cookie dough because that's more fulfilling. So again, serving yourself before serving others, especially in those scenarios, it's like, I want to do my own thing. I don't want to do this for someone else. This is someone else's dream. I want to cry over cookie dough by myself when it's my own. So why not? So I ended up just kind of like quitting. I walked home and I remember it wasn't really a conversation that I had with my boyfriend, Tanner. I was like, oh, I think I'm just going to quit my job. And at that time, he had started his own business too. So you can imagine two people in a new house in the midst of 2020 on
28 years old,
questionable income, highly stressful situation, but we're still together. We made it through. Yay.
Yeah.
Both successful businesses. So pats on our backs for that. Yeah. We survived, but yeah, it was more so just one of those scenarios. Again, I'm one who likes to think things through a lot, but in that instance, it was just like, give her a shove and
You were ready.
Let's go for it.
Yeah, you were ready. For it. So what did that look like when you said, let's go for it? Was it going to be baking out of your home and selling at different markets and vendors? Okay.
Pretty much. So I pursued a cottage bakery license, which allows people in Minnesota to bake out of their home.
Yep.
There's a lot less regulations, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing in certain scenarios, but it gives people the ability to bake certain items out of their home and sell them at markets. So it has to be direct to consumer. You can't do wholesale. You can't do B2B. So there are guidelines, but I basically took that license and decided let's just keep rolling for the farmers market each weekend, see how it goes. Ironically, when I wanted to do the market, they told me there was no room for the season. So undeterred, again, I went to my uncle who owns the building right across from the market in the park, and I said, hey, can I set up on your sidewalk? And he didn't care. He said, go for it. So I set up my tent and my table, and every weekend I'd show up and we'd sell out at least within 45 minutes to an hour, and it just built and built and built, and new people kept showing up, and more people brought other people, and
it just felt good.
It became this thing. Oh, it was crazy. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I still kind of laugh at it. And markets ended in October, and I wanted to find a way to continue to monetize this business and still get exposure and keep up with my customers, because you don't want to go 5 or 6 months without talking to anybody.
I don't think so.
Without selling any product.
No.
So that's not good for growth. That's not good for your customer base. So I ended up building a website from scratch. No experience. It was really easy, shockingly. Anyone can do it, if anyone's wondering. You can do it. Positive reinforcement.
And what did you use?
I used Wix.
Okay.
So super easy. I actually kind of went through it backwards. I used Squarespace for my domain because I had a coupon code.
Nice.
Got to save that money when you're poor and you don't have a paycheck.
Yeah.
And then so I did Wix for my online storefront and launched it the last day of the farmers market that we were there, and handed out business cards and flyers saying like, hey, here's where you can buy my product. Just come pick it up at my house.
Smart.
Super easy. And it took off. I remember November, the first Thanksgiving online, it was like, oh my God, I made $3,000 in a month. And to me, that was like a lot.
Yeah.
It was a lot for bread too. So December was even bigger. And then you go through a lull of like January through March where people like ban carbs because they're on some kind of New Year's kick. And I'm like, okay, I'll see you in 3 months, guys. But it ended up sticking, and you know, people would order consistently, either weekly or every other month I'd see them. And so it just kind of became this thing where I'd just bake out of my house in the off season and sell out of my house, and people would pick up there. And then once the market season picked back up, we'd set up every Saturday.
I mean, it sounds fun.
It was. I mean, not every day is fun. There's
of course.
There's the downs too.
Of course. But it does sound fun. You get to be outside. You're meeting customers. It's really it's just really a grassroots way to start your business. You know your people. You know what they're looking for. You're talking with them. You're doing these orders. I love it.
Yeah, you're learning on the fly, and it's 3 years later, that's still happening.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
of
still
course.
learning on the fly. And
hopefully that never ends.
no, I don't think it ever will.
You know?
I don't think it will,
Yeah.
which is a good thing. But yeah, it was kind of a fun way to start a business. Is you're putting yourself out there. Which, again, I'm highly introverted. If you know me personally, I can be really bubbly and outgoing. But deep down, like face-to-face conversations with people you don't know, it can be really intimidating, especially when you're selling a product that you have maybe like 70% confidence in, but you're still seeking that validation from your customer base.
Sure.
It's really intimidating.
And for a lot of them, it's their first time maybe trying a product like that. They've never had sourdough. They don't know.
And so you have to sit there and you have to explain, like, this is what I make. And they don't know what it is.
You can use this podcast. Like, if you have a first time, just listen to the first part of the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll learn.
You'll understand. Or I can give you, like, a 5-page tutorial on what sourdough is and send you a bunch of articles. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's everywhere. But, yeah, it's intimidating getting out there right away, and I was definitely shelled up, but the more I did it, the more confident I got in it, the more comfortable I got talking to people, and I think that's really, I owe this to my mother, her bubbly personality. I think that's really what drew people to our table was just how outgoing and fun and energetic and kind of in your face we were about it, instead of, I'm like, hi, this is my table. Do you want to buy some bread? Like, no, I want to talk to you. I want to tell you about my product. Mm-hmm. I want you to taste it. Come talk to us. Buy something, please. You'll be happy. I guarantee it. And,
well, it's excitement.
Oh, yeah. Well, you want people to be excited about your product. If they aren't, why would I buy it?
Right. Well, okay, so all this experience brought you to your brick and mortar, where you're at right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to believe that I have a storefront. I honestly never thought it would happen, because it was probably 2 summers ago, and a lot of my regulars at home pickups were asking, are you ever going to expand? Are you going to do a brick and mortar? Or you should do it. And I was like, nah, we're not going to get that big. I don't want to scale it that much. I want to keep it personal and keep it small in my house. And yeah, and then I was signing a lease in May of last year. So so there it is. I mean, opportunity was knocking, really, and the space was needed. I had just signed a wholesale agreement with a local business in Wilmer, Goodness Coffee, to do all of their bread and bagels, and that was more than what I could capacitate in my own home. So it was time. It was time to make the move, and I kind of call it like pushing nervous Kenzie off the cliff and just like saying, hey, go sign the lease. We're gonna try it, because I need to do that to myself every now and then. Otherwise, I don't jump. I'm one of those people who likes syllabuses and outlines and knows exactly what's coming next. And signing a lease and having no idea what you're doing was not on my list. But again, it was way too good of an opportunity to pass up, and it was the right time.
Well, it was the right time.
Absolutely.
It was a crazy time. So you got into it. Now, we have talked before. Well, let's first finish this. You got into it. When did you open up? When did you have customers in your retail space?
Yep, we officially opened the doors November 11th of last year, so it'll be a year in November, which we've had open doors, which is exciting.
And you just celebrated your 3-year anniversary.
Yes, pretty wild. Cannot believe. So it was 2.5 in my house, and then half a year, and it'll be a year now in brick and mortar. It's hard to believe that I've been doing this for 3 years. But time flies when you're having fun, I guess. That statement is more true than ever.
Yeah. So when we connected, you had said, I can't believe, I'm not going to say it correctly, but I remember you were surprised. Like, I can't believe that I went to school to be an entrepreneur and in business, and there was so much I never knew.
Oh, my God.
Or I had to work my way through.
No. Like, no discount to SCSU. There was not a lot that I absorbed through those courses. I mean, I'm a horrible sit-down student. I'm a learn by doing, like getting my hands dirty. Give me in the exact scenario that I need to be in, and I will do work. But sitting down and taking tests, that's not where I strive.
That's exactly what you need to be a small business owner. Yeah. Because you don't really learn until you go through it.
No, you have to be in the guts. I really think it's more valuable for people who want to pursue a small business of their own, and entrepreneurship, to go out and talk with people who have businesses and immerse themselves in that environment, as opposed to sitting in a classroom trying to learn about it, because it's not going to teach you the skills that you need.
Well, what was challenging? What were some of the things that came up?
Finance, for one.
Yeah.
Finance and accounting. Math has never been my strong suit, with the exception of baking math. That's what scales are for, and calculators. But just all of the just nitty gritty courses. And I'm like, what does this have to do with what I want to do?
Right.
And I'm a stubborn person, and I have ADHD and ADD and OCD. So the list goes on and on. So concentration was not my forte when it came to sitting down and learning in a classroom. And I still have them. I have 3 pages from my notebook for my capstone senior class of finance, business finance. And the first 3 pages are filled out in yellow ink of every and any cupcake flavor that you could possibly ever imagine.
Oh my God.
That's what I did the first day of my finance class, is I wrote down cupcakes instead of taking notes.
That was a sign right there.
Aha. Yeah.
Talk about, yeah.
I still have them. I looked at them the other day. I'm like, what was I doing? Mm-hmm. Fire 362, cupcake flavors. Here we go. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so now you've been open for 3 years. You're almost a year in your retail space, and you are not just sourdough bread.
No, we're more.
You're so much more. Tell us
More.
about that.
So I like to call it Core 4. Maybe
Core 4?
Core 4. So
Okay.
we have 4 major product categories that we focus on. So it's sourdough breads, sourdough bagels, sourdough cookies, and then scones, which aren't sourdough.
So it's bread, bagels,
Cookies,
scones.
scones. Those are our 4 major categories that
Okay.
you have multiple flavor varieties on. And then we do have some sprinkle-ins like muffins.
Croissants.
Yep. Danish pastries, pies in this holiday season.
Sure.
Sugar cookies. So it kind of transitions throughout the year. We have a transitional season menu. So every 3 months we rotate. So it was just summer. Now it's fall for the next 3 months. So we bring in newer returning flavors that were high sellers in the past season, but also sprinkle in that new stuff so people get excited and they come back in for
Where
more.
do you get the creativity to make all of these things?
Uh,
Because they're incredible. They're
Thank you.
gorgeous.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I did want to be an art major when I wanted to pursue college, so that's kind of fun that I get to pursue that passion as well as mixing art with baking. But a lot of it comes from me just sitting on the couch at night and just dabbling down, like, what would be a good cookie flavor? What haven't I done? What haven't I thought of? What did I like to eat when I was a kid? What was my favorite thing that my mom baked? And I asked Tanner, you're like, what was your favorite thing when you were younger? Sure. What flavor do you really like? Or what do you think would go well with this? And it's literally scribbles. I have like 4 different notebooks of just random hodgepodge flavors for each season. And I eventually just plug it into like grocery stores. They're my worst enemy, but my best friend, because I just walk down an aisle. I'm like, will it cookie? Will it bread? You know, you never know until you try it. But it's like, it's trying to think of things that are out of the box. And I guess that comes into my why. You know, my personal why is I believe in being unique. And then my business why is I believe in making the ordinary extraordinary. And I really want to try to make things extraordinary for people and different. And it's, you know, something that you can't get in this area, that you can't find at another bakery. So it's creating products that are unique to my business, which is a very good stronghold for business owners to make for themselves, is making yourself unique in the industry. That's how you succeed. But also differentiating yourself amongst the market for your customers. Because if what are they going to choose from? If you have oatmeal cookies, why is yours different? How is it going to be different? Mine is sourdough. That's different. No one else does that. So it's really creating a unique product and a unique experience through that, because it's something that they may have never tried. So it intrigues them. There's a lot of psychology that goes on behind this too. It's kind of funny and weird when I try to explain it to someone, but there's a lot that goes on in my little brain when I think of things, and I try to put it all together so it makes sense.
I love your why.
Thank you.
I believe in being unique.
Yeah, I've never fit in. I'm like the black sheep sometimes, most of the time. Yeah.
Well, good for you.
Writing cupcake formulas in finance class. And yeah, I guess I've always just kind of felt like the oddball in groups, and like even in my family, not to discount my family dynamic. It's just like, why are you working out all the time? Because I want to be healthy. Why do you eat that way? Because I want to be healthy. Just doing things that other people aren't used to seeing, but having the confidence to do it. And it's, even though I'm introverted, I do have a lot of confidence in the decisions that I make for myself, because they're for me. Mm-hmm. They're going to benefit me ultimately. And if I'm happy, then everything else will hopefully go good. I don't know.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love it. And then you totally take that, bringing the ordinary, making the ordinary to extraordinary, and offering those unique items. I mean,
Yeah.
Go to your Facebook page, go to your website, walk in your doors, and it's a whole different world.
Yeah. I think it also stems from my like undying drive to try to redefine people's definition of what they consider good. Because you can tell me, like, I've had a good, oh yeah, their cookies are good. I'm like, yeah, come over here, try this. Tell me it's good. Tell me it's better. I'm trying to constantly figure out how can I make this better? How can I make this experience better? How can this taste better? Let's improve this. And I think my customers also appreciate that too, is because I'm not just settling for a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. I want it to be a 10. How can I make it a 10?
So is that just an inherent drive that is in you, or how do you keep yourself so motivated? How do you...
Coffee. Really good coffee. Part of me is like the downside of being a perfectionist constantly. You're striving for that best possible outcome all the time. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. But I like to put my best foot forward first and lead with that. And if I can give people something that is new and exciting and amazing and see the reaction, that really is what does it. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, is knowing how fulfilling it is to see people happy and excited about something. And you need to create excitement with your business. Otherwise, why would people show up?
Yeah, definitely. So for anybody coming in that's going to order a dozen cookies to bring home, order one more so you can eat it there at the shop.
Yes. Well, like, one is never enough. Usually if people come in and they're like, I'm going to get one chocolate chip cookie, my mom and I always be like, are you sure? Are you sure about that? I think you're going to regret that as soon as you bite it.
Maybe
and sure
just
enough,
grab two.
Oh, sure enough. I'm like, I'll see you next week. And I actually do end up seeing them next week. And they're like, that was the best cookie I've ever had in my life.
I've been about it all week.
I'm like, I told you. Let me redefine good for you.
Yes.
Let me show you what you think is good. I will make it better. I will try to make it better. Just, people deserve a good experience. Why not?
I love that. Okay, so that reminds me and brings me to the next thing, that in one of our interviews I heard you say, I'm not afraid to fail forward.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
You learn through failures, and you really can't call them failures. I think Mark Cuban said it really good. He said it doesn't matter how many times you fail, you only have to find one way to make it right. So you find that one way. So you just keep misstepping. It's okay. I think people a lot of the time are afraid of failing because they take it so personally. Right. It's a self-reflection. I did bad. I didn't do good. Right. I'm a failure. I should give up. But it's not that. No. You found a way not to do something. Like, okay, move on. Pick yourself up. Brush it off. It's progress. Exactly. Right. You need to have those downs in order to find the really good ups. And failure shouldn't be something that we should be afraid of. It'd be something that we should move forward into and face head on and learn from it. Because how else are we going to learn unless we mess up and make it right? Exactly. I pinion myself a lot too, that I'm like afraid of failure, which I am. It's hard to not be intimidated from screwing up, especially with, you're presenting products to customers. But you make a whoopsie and you learn from it. You don't take it personally. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. The most successful business owners and entrepreneurs, they have had to fail multiple times to get to where they are. Right. And so I think a lot of small business owners should take that and just absorb those words and realize, like, it's okay to screw up. It's okay to do this. We'll survive. Let's get on the right foot and make it better.
Yeah, let's learn from our mistakes.
Absolutely. Yeah. They are learning tools.
Absolutely. That's great. Well, I remember when you said that, I loved that you said that. I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the business model at Pink Apron, because it's very unique. Mm-hmm. So you are the Midnight Baker.
Yes.
You have very few open retail hours.
Yep.
And it works for you.
Oh, it does.
All right, let's talk about it.
It's wildly successful, but I wanted to, transitioning from a house, like a home-based bakery, into a brick and mortar, nobody really prepares you for that. There's a lot of changes, and there wasn't really a network that I could talk to get some insight on how to make this work.
Yeah.
Because, home baking, I just take orders throughout the week and bake for markets, usually sell out and I'd be fine. But moving into a brick and mortar, you're exposed to a lot more people, and now you're in a chain where people are used to Monday, Friday, 9 to 5, where your doors have to be open.
Sure.
They can walk in anytime they want. They can get something whenever they want. It's a convenience-based culture. And I didn't want to operate like that. I didn't want to do it because I knew it wasn't possible with just me at the helm. And I also just didn't want to become something mundane to people, especially in a town like Spicer where you have 1,500 people on a busy season. Because it's a lake city, so you have seasonal people coming in and out. But I also want to find a way to operate without hemorrhaging money and operating costs and just keeping the doors open. So creating a schedule where it was maintainable and I was able to balance personal life and work life, but also fulfill the community needs with quality goods. That's what I wanted to pursue, and that's what I ended up doing, was having one day of walk-ins where you can come in and get anything on our menu. It's all there, and it's baked within at least 8 hours that we open our doors. And that's something that most people aren't used to. It's once a day, or it's once a week, and there's a lot of, positive and negative feedback that I had to face leading into that, and it was difficult as a business owner trying to balance that, but ultimately making that decision with operating once a week to open to the public, I knew it was right. Because I was able to still have a life, which is important. It's important for small business owners to take time for themselves and, still operate this business financially successful. That's also important. You got to keep your doors open. You got to pay your bills without just blowing money out the door. So creating that online orders only throughout the week, that way I can control my overheads, bake fresh for each customer and each item, and increase a positive experience. Because when it's fresh, it's good. I don't sell day-olds. People don't deserve day-olds. That's just my opinion. I wouldn't want to eat a day-old muffin. I don't know why someone else would. So thinking about your customer experience plays into that weekly balance and that schedule. Saturdays also give something for people to look forward to. People are excited, which that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to think about. Usually we have a line that starts 45 minutes before we open.
A line around the outside of your building.
Yes, most days, yes. But every Saturday there's been a line that's phenomenal. Made me super nervous at first because I'm like, what are people going to think? Are they going to get impatient? Are they going to leave? But it's really turned into this like wacky little like community gathering spot on a Saturday morning. People bring chairs and they bring books and they're talking to their neighbors or their friends.
Got their coffee.
Yeah, and they're reconnecting with people. Like people are talking to people. That's what we need to do. We need to get our faces off the phone and reconnect with small businesses and your community and your neighbors and your friends and just talk to people.
Fun.
That's the fun in it. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy that has kind of become a regular thing now, and that I'm doing more than just opening a bakery. I'm bringing people together.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, you're bringing people together in multiple ways. You're bringing people together in your store. You're bringing people together around a table. You're bringing people together around celebrations.
Yeah.
I mean, you're bringing people together.
Yeah.
In an extraordinary way.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
It is cool.
When I think about it.
So during the week, you have people, you can do custom orders or online orders during the week, and you can pick those up certain days.
Yep.
And then Saturdays, its doors are open until product is gone.
Basically, yeah. So I only bake, I have a production sheet for everything, so everything is numbered and super scientific and specific and mathematical, but again, control.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. So everything is numbered out. I bake X amount based off of what previous sales were from the week before or even the year before, just seeing what trends are. And then when it's gone, it's gone. But that's kind of the sick little game that I like to play. I can't even really call it a game, but it's the strategy that I implement into this business is leave them wanting more, because human psychology shows that when people are repetitively exposed to something, it becomes mundane and it becomes less special. And then it becomes something like, she's open, we'll stop tomorrow.
Yeah,
we can just stop. It'll be there tomorrow. Like, no.
Scarcity.
It's like TJ Maxx, but a bakery. If you don't buy it now, it's going to be gone next time you come in.
You're not coming back to get more.
Yeah.
Get two.
Essentially. That's that. There's my secret.
Yeah.
But that's ultimately what it comes down to, is supply and demand. And when it's gone, it's gone. And then they just get more excited for next weekend. And it's something that people look forward to all week long.
Oh,
and
of course.
It's so cool to think about. But it should be that way. I want people to be excited about product and a business, and that just, it brings me so much joy knowing that I can do that for people when in a town there might not be a lot to do or a lot of business opportunities to explore. So it's their one highlight of their weekend. For the whole family, too.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Everybody gets to, well, and I mean, you throw down some of those bars and those cookies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
There's excitement is in the air.
Yeah. Or like gifting. A lot of people buy, I have one customer, she always buys pies for people who house sit for her.
Oh, that's
and it's
nice.
like, what a great way to say thank you.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't love pie?
Yeah. Especially like the best pie in the world.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I try.
Now, in your space, it is so cute. It is pink.
It is. It's in your face.
Pink. It is bright. It is beautiful.
Thank you.
And on your anniversary, you even had a mural painted.
Yeah. So Maria Novak is the artist who did this fantastic mural. She's at a stopping point now. We're going to keep going on the other walls. But she finally finished the big wall. And I always like trying to partner with local businesses or local artists or, anybody that I can be with who helps everyone all together. You're cultivating and curating this environment where businesses partner and everyone wins. So working with her, I've known her for a couple years. She used to work at the Land and do event coordinating there, and over the years we've just built this really, really good relationship and rapport together. So having her come in and do this completely custom mural, and it's all of my product actually. She took pictures from social and digitalized them into like graphics. So it's all my actual product.
Oh my
it's my croissants, it's my cupcakes, it's my bread. So it's very personal and very unique, and it's punchy, it's colorful, it's bright,
it's beautiful,
it's in your face, it's loud, but it totally fits the bill for who we are. We're unique. Oh, we're not like anybody else. We don't operate like anyone else. We don't make product like anyone else. So it's even more definitive to our why and who we are as a bakery.
And why the pink?
My apron. So I was not a pink girl when I was younger. I liked turquoise and purple and lime green. And when I was working at the local bakery, I was just scrolling. And of course you get ads, and Hedley and Bennett is a luxury apron brand that popped up in one of their advertisements, and it was their bubblegum pink carry-out apron. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. That's loud. That's in your face, and that's fun. And it was $100, and I bought it. So it was an investment. That was the first investment I made in my business, and
oh, that's great.
I put it on, and I didn't look back. And so I was like, hey, they have great business principles, and they offer a high quality product that's a luxury good. Why not make bread that's a luxury good with high quality products and ingredients? It's the same principle. It's something simple that you can get anywhere, but let's make it better.
Yeah. That pink apron.
So there's the pink.
It launched you.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I know. I really owe them a lot, because they're kind of like
they inspired you.
Even though I'm not like sponsored by them or anything, but shout out to Hedley and Bennett if they hear this.
Yeah. Yeah. They inspired you.
They did. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you are a young entrepreneur. We've talked about that. You are busy.
Yes.
You're baking overnights to have your product ready for your customers. You've got a lot going on. You're renting this space. One of the things, I'm going to let you tell me, what is it like being a young entrepreneur? Like feedback or being pulled in different directions? What is it like in a small town?
It's a lot. It is a lot. It's really something that nothing can really prepare you for. You just kind of have to figure it out as you go. Each day is different. Each week is different. Each month is different. And I think a really important thing that I can tell people is you can't take everything so personally. You really can't. You have to wear it on your sleeve, and you understand that you're doing your best that you can do. I have a little GIF on my phone that says "persist against the pressure."
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and it's. I think it's important because there is a lot of pressure that people put on business owners in general, especially coming from an external standpoint. They don't see a lot. They see 10%. They don't see 90%. They don't see you're on your computer all day on Monday, which is your only day off, answering emails and QuickBooks meetings and doing all the ugly, like up to your elbows in dishwater, on Saturday after you've been up for 36 hours. They don't see that kind of stuff. And I think it's really important for us as young entrepreneurs and just entrepreneurs in general is to identify and recognize, like, you're doing a good job. You are doing a good job. It might not seem like it, but you're doing good. You're okay. Give yourself some grace. I think that's a hard thing for me to learn, is just, again, eternal perfectionist trying to strive for greatness is, it might not be perfection for me, but it's good for my customers and it makes them happy. And that's what I have to recognize and look at, is if I can make people smile, even though I might not be smiling at the moment, you won. You did a good job. You're making people happy. Not every day is going to be great. There's days when I don't want to go to work. That's just being honest. We're human. Not every day is going to be a boat of rainbows and sunshine. And my mom laughs every time I say that, because it's true. You're going to have really crappy days. But I think showing up is probably the most important thing that we can do. And I know that I've made it to a place where I'm happy when there are days when I don't want to show up, but I do. And I find something to smile about.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. It's trying to be optimist all the time. I try to find the best case scenario in most crappy ones, and just staying positive about the scenario, because it's not easy.
Well, and a lot of times too, we're just talking about this morning in our newbie business reinvention course. Yay. Is people, well-meaning people, will sometimes provide you input and feedback that it's like, you don't get it. You don't get me. And you shouldn't price it this way. You should do it this way. And you should do it this way. And you should do it this way. And have you ever thought about doing this way? And why aren't you over here? And how come you did that? And why would you put... And it's like, you start to question things.
Oh, you do. You
like, what am I doing?
You roll it through your brain so many times, and like, usually my response is like, honey, you have no idea. Like, don't
trust your intuition.
Until you've been in my shoes for 24 hours. I don't want to hear a single word.
Good.
You have no clue.
Good.
And it's, again, having that confidence and knowing what you're doing. Make it work for you. You're not going to, I think the biggest thing that everyone in a business running it or working in it has to understand is you're not going to make everyone happy.
No.
It's impossible.
Right.
It's impossible. One of the ones that probably hit me the hardest was, I think it was a week into opening, and there was this lady who came through, and she's like, I'm having a hard time ordering online. I'm like, well, my number's on the card. You're welcome to call me. I'm happy to walk you through any of the steps. And she goes, it's just not easy. You really need to be spending more time in store with your customers taking orders instead of all this online stuff. And I'm kind of like, thank you for those words, but they're not, I didn't say anything. I'm just like, okay, yeah, well. But it's just like, if you only knew how much time I was actually in this bakery. I probably spend more time at the bakery than I do at my own home. So it's some of the stuff that people say, it sucks. It does. It hits really hard. But again, recognizing that what you're doing is the best that you can do at that moment, and not everyone's going to get it. That's okay. What we need to focus on as business owners is the people who do get it.
Yes.
Those are your backbones.
Yes.
They're going to be with you from day one.
Yes.
Until the last day. And they're going to support you. I have customers who ask me continually, like, how are you? Because they genuinely care about me. They can probably see the dark circles under my eyes. But it's those people that I want to invest more of my time with.
For sure.
And invest making my product better for them and getting their feedback, because those are the people that matter.
Well, yeah, and those are the people that are feeding your passion.
You
have to so trust your intuition as a business owner, and by trusting that, like, those are your people.
Yep.
That's going to keep you happy. That's going to keep them happy.
Yep.
It's going to keep feeding your passion for this business that you built.
Exactly. Yeah, you look at the people who have helped you get to where you are, and they genuinely care about you, and that's something special too, because I've had customers for 3 years, like, who showed up on day one with my tiny little table and my little loaves of bread that I made, and they still come through the door.
That's
and
awesome.
We still have awesome conversation, and they're just like, I can't believe, like, it's been 3 years, and it's very nostalgic, but it's also very cool to have those relationships.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
So, all right, we've established your 3-year anniversary. You still have the excitement.
Yeah.
You still have this incredible momentum.
Yeah.
There's new things coming. You're always trying something different, challenging yourself. Is there something that you're thankful for that you did in your past that's helping you today?
Yeah. Signing a lease. Well, just not being a hussy around yeast probably is one of the biggest ones, and just going for it. And you honestly just have to shoot your shot. You really do. And I think giving myself the confidence and the permission to just try, because I'd always been one to just shoot myself down before even trying. Like, there's no way I'd be good at that. Like, I tried to do that with business school. Like, I'm not smart enough. I'm gonna flunk out. No way. Let's not do it. Let's be a chicken. Let's stay in the back. Oh yeah, I will talk myself out of so many scenarios, or at least I used to, and just kind of just gunning for it and being like, let's see what happens. Maybe that's like the meh side of me that's like, whatever. But yeah, I think just going for it, really. Thank you, past me, for signing it without knowing what was going to happen.
Yes. Truly, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had no idea about building permits and who to call for plumbing and where to get a loan, because they don't teach you how to apply for a loan and who to talk to in college, sadly. Wish they would, but...
So,
yeah.
What are you doing today that's going to help your future self?
That's a really good question. I think it's learning on the go and learning each day of, what went good, what can I change, and just recognizing what's happening around you and not just brushing it off, because ultimately it is going to set you up for success in the future if you go, well, that didn't work out good this time, so I'm going to try this next time. Or like, I need to get up at 4 a.m. for this kind of bake instead of 5 a.m. The small steps that you do each day, take them into consideration and use them for the future. And then I think like today, just taking my time with this business and being patient, because I have lofty goals. I have pipe dreams that I'd love to grow into. I don't know if it's completely feasible, but I'm not going to rush into it. So it's, I think, being patient with my business and knowing that where I'm at is really good right now, and recognizing that I'm doing a good job and I don't have to rush into things, and just let things play their course and take the next step as it comes instead of jumping forward onto that. So I think that's probably a good answer, that I'm just recognizing what I'm doing and setting myself up for the future.
That's a great answer, because especially when you jump into something and there is so much momentum and excitement around it, it's hard to hold back and hold the reins in, And I think that's super smart of you. You're taking the steps.
Under promise and over deliver. That's something that my business advisor through SBDC always says. It's like, whenever we go over financials, she's like, let's under promise and over deliver. Let's do that. And so that's kind of been a big tool to base everything off of, is just take your time with it.
Yeah.
Step by step. You'll get there. It just takes time.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Well, that's super insightful too, especially for an entrepreneur of your age. That's pretty smart. Smart cookie.
I'm an old soul.
Yeah, you are. You are.
I like tea on the couch. I'm in bed by 8 o'clock.
Well, yeah, because you're all up all night baking.
I know that was kind of irrelevant, but anyways, no, I'm a total couch potato. Like outside of work, it's understandable. You need time to relax, but
yeah. Why don't you give us the quick layout of what Pink Apron Bakery is?
Yeah. So Pink Apron Bakery is a sourdough-specific microbakery that prioritizes and specializes in sourdough breads, bagels, cookies, and scones. Everything is made by hand from scratch using whole-based ingredients. We don't use any preservatives, artificial dough enhancers, conditioners, or any other ick that you might find in like grocery store bread. So it's really good ingredient-based products, so you know what you're putting in your body. That's really important to us. So everything goes through these hands.
You're taking this ordinary product and you're bringing it back to the basics.
Yeah.
And making it extraordinary.
Yeah.
Well, it's absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, you've brought in something unexpected and something extraordinary to our area, to our community, to restaurants, to a lot of people's homes. And you're doing great. Thank you. Thank you. It's so fun to see a young entrepreneur following their passion and loving what they're doing. And you're making the great decisions. You're doing your research. I have a lot of respect for what you're building, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, me too. Stay tuned.
Yes. Episode number 2.